Could I hear some more about how people responded to what you raised?
I received a telephone call from a colleague of mine who actually acted as the inspector of prisons. He's an attorney at law, and he read the article and he commented, well, I don't think anything like that would work in Trinidad. So I questioned him, well, why not? And he said, one, there's absence of political will, and the view of society is to lock away the criminals and toss the key away. People are not very compassionate, or they're not very considerate of the perspective that a person could be wrongfully convicted. They pretty much take the police version of events as lock, stock, and barrel. Regrettably, that was the view that he had espoused. Other people who reached out to me, some were saying, yes, we could see something like that happening, but again, there needs to be the political will, because resources would have to be deployed. And they were lukewarm in terms of the reception of the idea. And if I could add, the reason for that is because I don't think it's been a topic that's been properly researched in our jurisdiction. If you look at our law, the law that gives a convicted person the avenue to seek a review of their case, it's embodied in a section of our Supreme Court of Judicature Act, Section 64(2), which it gives the president, upon the advice of the Minister of National Security, where there's a petition by a convicted person or his legal representative or family member, to introduce some sort of new evidence. The president can, upon considering that new material, refer the case to the Court of Appeal for the Court of Appeal to hear it as though it's a fresh appeal. I think in Jamaica, you all have a similar section in your constitution as it relates to the prerogative of mercy and so on. But when I looked at the operation of that particular section and the mechanism that's in place, you notice that very few matters are referred by the president to the Court of Appeal. As I have been able to trace at least about 5 cases where essentially it was murder convictions, and you had post-conviction persons who were witnesses at the trial coming forward to say, listen, I recant my testimony. What I said there was a lie. And when those matters were referred to the Court of Appeal, you had the Court of Appeal applying a very stringent test, legal test, in terms of the threshold for the reception of that testimony. Really, they're trying to assess the credibility of the recantation and see what were the reasons for the lie, whether it affected the conviction and so on. In all of the cases that I have seen that have gone to our Court of Appeal, they have not received that fresh evidence. It did not result in a quashed conviction. So when you compare that to what obtains in the UK, they have established this committee that's an independent authority. So it's different from what obtains locally, where it's a sort of executive involvement of the minister and the president. It's an independent authority. Their powers of investigation are a lot more rigorous and involved in that they can interview witnesses, they can get court files and so on. Whereas locally, it's been pretty much pigeonholed into recanted testimony. That there's been really no cases of DNA evidence or forensic evidence coming up. It's always been that eyewitness testimony that they've recanted. So the UK has that wider powers, and it's not politically involved. And 70% of the cases that they have referred to the Court of Appeal in the UK resulted in quashed convictions, and this is first world. So it only gives one anecdotally when you consider it. The UK as compared to Caribbean jurisdictions, how many wrongful convictions would we unearth if we had a similar body to examine and explore these things, to bring about the information and evidence? Because face it, someone who is incarcerated after conviction for murder, where does he get the resources to investigate his case and to make or to advocate in favor of some legal error or some sort of misthing? As you would know, disclosure is an important element in a criminal case. You need to look back and see were things withheld, and how the case developed, how it was deployed. So that simply just doesn't obtain in our jurisdiction.
You want to hear more of something that you think should be amplified, or if you have a personal experience, please go ahead and share it in the comments. You can find out more about Stuck at my website, andrewwiles.com/stuck. That's AndrewWildes.com/stuck. Hey, thanks for listening. Stuck is written and presented by me, Andrew Wiles. It is brought to you by The Wave on the Frequency Network. Subscribe to Stuck wherever you get your podcasts. You can read more about the project at andrewwiles.com. And if you found the conversation interesting or helpful, share it. Thanks for tuning in. Until next time.